So I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit worried about what Final Fantasy XVI was gonna turn out to be. Yeah, I know Yoshi-P was behind it as well as Soken doing the music, but that didn't mean that I wasn't worried. I mean, it going to a full action-based combat was kind of like, I wasn't sure if they can pull it off, especially when it comes to Final Fantasy. But after playing this demo that they just released, oh man, my worries are completely gone. Honestly, this might be my game of the year. So just a recap of what Final Fantasy XVI is. Final Fantasy XVI is a more action RPG based Final Fantasy made by Creative Business Unit 3, aka the team behind Final Fantasy XIV. If you know that team, well, rather if you don't know that team, then you should get to know them because they went in and saved Final Fantasy XIV. When Final Fantasy XIV originally launched, it wasn't that great. Like, I was enjoying it, but yeah, there was a lot of issues when it came to that game. Creative Business Unit 3 came in with Yoshi-P at the helm and just pretty much revamped everything. They changed everything. They made things a lot more fluid. They realized that the game was concentrating too much on graphics, because when it came to graphics, especially as an MMO, it was definitely the best looking MMO in terms of graphics. But they kind of realized that the focus was too much on the graphics side of things and not enough on the gameplay and everything around it. So they did fix all of that, made the game run smoothly, and added story. And I can tell you this, the story in Final Fantasy XIV is probably one of the best stories in a Final Fantasy game ever. It's just a shame that it's locked behind an MMO, and it would be nice if you can just play like a single player version of it or something like that, you know, to kind of go through the campaigns. But nonetheless, the story is amazing. I mean, I highly recommend either playing the game or watching like a YouTube video that goes over it, because the story is great. So when I heard that they were in charge of Final Fantasy XVI, I can't tell you, I was super hyped, because I had faith that Yoshi-P could make this game great. Now, why is Yoshi-P being involved such a big deal? Well, it's mainly because when it came to Final Fantasy XV, it had issues. Nomura was in charge of it when it was called Final Fantasy Versus 13, and he had a big plan going on for it. It was basically supposed to be a more darker Kingdom Hearts, which is what he was going for, and there was a lot of stuff that was involved. But unfortunately, Square Enix moved him off the project and put in Tabata, and unfortunately the business decision that Tabata made the game come out very like unfinished. He removed parts of the games and turned it into a movie, turned other pieces to an anime, and then the ending just felt very rushed and almost like, I don't know, it didn't feel like it was the same game at all. When you actually play Final Fantasy 15, you'll be like, yeah, the beginning part it's nice. It is missing the opening portion, because the opening portion is actually in the movie for whatever reason. But nonetheless, the gameplay and how the story was revealing and, you know, coming out in the, I would say like the first half of the game was actually really good. Fast forward to towards the end, and yeah, that's when everything kind of goes downhill, and it was almost like he wasn't sure what to do with the ending, so he kind of just pushed it out. And there's a lot of DLC. They added parts such as like different playable characters, which was originally in Final Fantasy 15, and then of course for whatever reason Tabata took it out. He made a more basic battle system, and yeah, it just became a mess. That being said, the game was still pretty decent, but by Final Fantasy standards, it wasn't that great. It was better than 13. As somebody who wasn't a big fan of 13, I really enjoyed 13 too, but 13 and Lightning Returns wasn't my cup of tea. I did enjoy this more than the 15 trilogy, but it wasn't nowhere near as good as 12 or 10 or anything before that, honestly. But going with this game, they're kind of trying to do almost what 15 was originally trying to do in terms of becoming an action RPG, minus the open world aspect. So Final Fantasy 16 is not going to have any open worlds. Rather, it's going to have open zones. So you will have a world map where you would fast travel to different points, and you will have different areas that are just bigger maps. There will be towns you can visit where you can get quests. They're bringing back hunts, which hunts has always been my favorite. Ever since Final Fantasy 12 came out and you had to do the hunts there, I've always loved doing hunts. 15 had hunts. It was fun doing the hunts in 15 as well. And I like seeing that they're going to bring this back in 16 as well, which is pretty awesome, because hunts is just a good side quest where you can fight like overpowered monsters. Usually you get good rewards, but you know, I guess we have to wait and see what exactly rewards we're gonna get from this. But for the most part, it's just a fun side quest to do because, again, you're fighting overpowered monsters and they're a little bit more challenging, which is nice. But yes, you're gonna have these open zones, these open areas that you can explore. In the demo, you can kind of go through these smaller corridors. There's like different paths there, and if you go off path, you might find like a treasure chest or an item you can pick up, but usually it'll take you back to the main path, which to me, I don't mind that, because when you really look at Final Fantasy was never really open world to begin with. You have your world map that you can explore, and yeah, they were kind of like secrets in certain areas, but when you go to an actual area that you needed to be in, for the most part, all paths lead to the same area. So you can go left, and you might have missed the treasure chest that was on the right, but it's still going to take you to the same area. And they're kind of doing that just in a bigger open 3D space, which I'm okay with. The biggest worry though was the combat. The combat is going to be an action RPG. The combat is actually, the person who's in charge of it is the guy who did Dragon's Dogma and also Devil May Cry, which in my head I was thinking, okay, he's probably going to make it more like Dragon's Dogma than Devil May Cry. After playing the demo, it's, I guess, it's a little bit of both, right? It does have the Devil May Cry flashiness, but it also has like the little, like, for lack of better words, like a command wheel. If you press R2 and hold it down, you can choose your different commands that the icons have. It does have that portion that Dragon's Dogma had as well. If you remember, if you held like R1, you can switch your wheel and you'll have like different abilities there. If you held R2, you had your secondary abilities. Very similar concept there. So far, so good. Again, you know, I was worried there was going to be an action or too action heavy, but it's not too action heavy at all. Honestly, I feel like if you're not a fan of action games, or you are not really into it, you're not good at them, I do really think you can get into this. The neat thing that they did add, which is actually pretty awesome, is they add these rings that are very optional, and the rings will help you out in battle. So let's say, for example, you're not good at dodging enemy attacks. You need just like an extra second to be able to dodge attacks. There is a ring that when equipped, it would actually slow down movement and give you time to press the dodge button so you can dodge attacks. I think that's pretty cool. In my stream that I did the other day, I did say it was called cheating, but honestly, it's not really cheating. If you feel that that's going to be better off for you, then hey, by all means use it. I myself will be using it because I do want to make it as, not as difficult as possible, but as, for lack of better words, just as hard as possible without not being too hard, if that makes sense, right? I don't want to punish myself, but I do want a challenge out of this game. But yeah, the combat's pretty good. Like, the icon abilities are great. Different icons are focused on different things. So for example, you can tell that like Garuda icon was more about speed and doing as many attacks to up like your combos, versus Titan is very like smash heavy. I mean, if you look at the icons, they kind of resemble what they are when it comes to the abilities. I guess Phoenix is more like all around, I guess. Like, it's very balanced. I guess you can say that. It's very balanced, not too strong, not too weak. Covers a good range, nice combos and things like that. So the way everything was balanced is very good. The way you can use items is very good. I do like that if you, for example, pick up an item, it'll auto heal you. That was pretty awesome, because a lot of times when I'm full on items, I usually do that anyways. I might use an item on like a party member to heal them, but other than that, like, it would just stay there. So you can just run up to the item. If it's full, it'll auto use it on yourself, and you don't have to worry about it. So I think that's a pretty cool aspect when it comes to like item picking up. Now the other part of this is party members. Something that Final Fantasy traditionally has is party members. As of the demo, you do get party members. The downside is, unlike Final Fantasy VII Remake, you really can't like control them. They're just there, at least as of the demo, right? I don't know if maybe the full game they add a feature or add something to it, but as of the demo, you cannot control your party members, and that kind of sucks, I guess, to an extent, because in Final Fantasy VII Remake you can switch characters. Final Fantasy 15 had that same issue. I didn't like that you couldn't swap out characters at all during the game. That kind of, it doesn't make it feel like a Final Fantasy if you can't play with all your characters, in my opinion. But it's okay, right? Like, I was good with it. I was able to get by. It is nice because the story is focused around Clive, and really Clive alone. And the build-up that they did with Clive was good enough where I don't care about my party members yet. We'll have to wait and see when the full game releases if I do start caring more about these guys. But honestly, Clive is the highlight of the show, and everything about Clive right now, I'm loving it. He actually might be my favorite main character in a Final Fantasy game. I mean, previously it was Zack, and I guess Zack is technically not a main character, but you know, when it comes to main characters, Zack was really one of my favorite ones, or Cecil as well. I did like Cecil from Final Fantasy IV. He was pretty cool as well. So when it comes to them, those two would have been my highlight, but Clive might be the best one yet. Now, when it comes down to story, this is probably going to be the most brutal Final Fantasy there ever was. Like, already in the demo, you have like blood coming out, like in the cutscenes. Everything about it is just very, very mature. A lot more mature themes. Definitely not as kid-friendly. Well, I wouldn't say definitely not kid-friendly at all. And man, like that demo, oof, I don't want to spoil anything, but the ending of the demo was hard for me to watch. Like, my face watching that ending scene, I was like, what is going on? Like, how is this happening? That was like literally my reaction. But at the same time, it also got me super hyped. Honestly, what the team did over there with Final Fantasy XVI, this might be the best Final Fantasy yet. Mentioning, you know, everything that I've said, you know, how to be worried about action based and all that stuff, I think once you actually play the demo, you can put all those worries aside, because this is shaping up to be one of the best Final Fantasies, if not the best Final Fantasy in a very long time. I'm super hyped to play it. You should be too, because this is just going to be an amazing game. I can't wait to play this game. But yeah, I didn't want to go too much into the story. I just recommend go ahead and play the demo yourself, because if you play the demo, you might understand everything that I'm talking about in today's video. It is a very good game. All the mechanics in the game are very good. It's just one of those things that I feel like you really have to experience yourself to understand it. For me, when I was watching like all the videos and like all the trailers that they've constantly been putting out, I was like, yeah, it looks good, I'll get it, it's Final Fantasy, I'm gonna pick it up anyways. But after playing the demo, I was like, yeah, I'm 100% sold. Even though I was sold already before, I'm 100% sold on this and what it's gonna be. And honestly, like I said, I think this might even be Game of the Year. But let me know what you guys think about the game below. You know, go ahead and at me. Let me know what you think. Are you going to like it? Are you going to hate it? Do you hate that it's not turn-based? Whatever it is, write in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow us over at Twitch. We do go ahead and stream 3 days out of the week. I will be streaming Final Fantasy XVI when it comes out next Thursday. So definitely check us out on Twitch and YouTube. Also, don't forget to check out our podcast, where every Sunday we talk about all the latest and greatest gaming news. My name is James from The Random Encounter, and I'll see you guys next time.